Well, welcome everybody to Cancer Support Community's Cooking in the Kitchen with the Central Ohio Urology Group. COUG is so much easier to say. We're very thankful for COUG's support and being able to provide tonight's program. And our session today is Fresh Start, Fresh Foods. My name is Darlene and I'm the program manager at Cancer Support Community. And with us tonight is Chef Jason and our dietitian Lori, and they're going to be going over vegan zucchini quesadilla. Oh man, Poblano
yeah,
salsa, and broiled mango. So
yeah.
I am very excited to hear about all of these wonderful recipes. And if you didn't have a chance to download these from our website, they are live, and you can go ahead and download and take it away, guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Darlene. Happy New Year to everyone. We're glad that you could join us today's class. And as she said, the title's Fresh Start, Fresh Foods, Fresh Start. So here in a new year, this is usually the time of year when everybody wants to focus on their health and their wellness. But I always say it's a daily journey. So whether it's the beginning of a new year or any time of the year, it's always a good time to start focusing on your wellness journey. And so we just want to offer a couple of recipes today that you can add to that journey and integrate into your daily diets. The good thing about it is that for so long, healthy food is looked at as not flavorful or not fun, but we want to be able to show you how you can still have an exciting time with great, healthy, and fresh foods.
Right on. I agree. This set of recipes tonight will bring you a ton of nutrients and a ton of flavor. So that's our goal, is to keep you nourished properly, but also enjoying your meals. We do acknowledge and understand that there's a therapeutic piece to gathering and community and having meals together. We want that to be pleasant, and hopefully you will find something tonight to hit the mark for all of those things. We're going to start with a vegan zucchini quesadilla, which has a lot of moving parts. I know it sounds, like we've got some cashew cheese as an option. We've got some Poblano Salsa, which involves pumpkin seeds, which I really want to stress for people right now because they're a great source of zinc, which supports our immune system really well. So you put that with the cilantro, that is also a supportive food for your liver and kidney function. So detox wise with the immune support is always a good thing, as we're still really concerned with keeping ourselves well at this point of the pandemic. So I'll let Chef get started, and then I'm going to throw in here and there like all of these beautiful benefits from the different fresh vegetables that we're using. So we'll be going back and forth.
Most definitely. And as Lori said, don't be intimidated when you look at a recipe. This recipe may have a couple of moving parts, but the good thing about them, like for instance, the cashew cheese or even the Poblano salsa, you can make those a day ahead. So it's good to be able to do a recipe at your own pace. So you don't have to feel like you have to kind of get it all in one setting. So if you've planned ahead, and even if this is an opportunity, a lot of people are doing meal prep. So if that's something that you want to plan for later in the week, you can plan to create parts of this recipe ahead of time. So the cashew cheese, you can definitely do a day or so ahead so that you already have that done, so that maybe the day of that you want to enjoy this, all you have to be responsible for, or all you have to do is the actual filling for the quesadilla.
And so, Jason, I'm not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but even in the recipe, you guys will notice that if you don't want to use cashew cheese, you can use a goat cheese, or you can use any kind of cheese that appeals to you. This just happens to be a vegan recipe, so we're doing following the recipe that says cashew, but you don't have to do that. You can do whatever suits your needs.
Most definitely. And that's a very important thing, because we never want, in any recipe that we present, we never want you to think that you kind of have to, what I call, always color inside the lines. So, it really is about how you can make this relatable to you or your household and your kitchen and what you may have available. The key, though, and the priority is ultimately just for you to be able to have a good quality, healthy experience with the food. So if you don't have cashews, if you don't want to or have the time to make cashew cheese, but as Lori said, you have some goat cheese around or some other cheese, by all means, go ahead and make the recipe your own by being able to substitute accordingly. So, but we appreciate the fact of also, if you do have these things available or you do have the time to try out the recipe as is, or to try out something different and something new, such as making cashew cheese or a vegan cheese, because you never know how that may be beneficial in the future for you, for something else. So with that said, we'll move right along. I'm going to start with the cashew cheese. And what I've done already is I've taken my cashews. This is something you do ahead of time. And they've been soaking for quite a couple hours, almost actually overnight, so that they're able to soften. But we don't want to waste the liquid that they've been soaking in. And all this was some warm water that we had in the container, and just let them soak so that they can soften, so we can get a really nice creamy consistency. So since they've been soaking, now all that water we're going to hold on to that. We're not going to dump it down the drain, but we do want to drain it off of the cashews, because we're going to use that water, incorporate back in to help smooth out or thin out the cashew cheese. So that's important. And the reason that we're going to save that is because a lot of our flavor is in that water, in that liquid. So there's no point in throwing it out and using some fresh water. Let's use something that's already has flavor already in it. That's gonna help enhance our final product. So we've drained that off, and we have put our cashews right in there. Everybody in the pool. We have our cashews in there, and then we're going to add a little bit of water and some apple cider vinegar. And then is what I call adding flavor components. Think of this is making like a cheese sauce. So this is like how I would make, say, cheese sauce if I was making mac and cheese. Kind of those same flavorings. We're just
Lori, are you able to hear Chef, or is he breaking out?
He's breaking up.
Okay, let me go over, Chef. We might need to switch mics. I'll be right over.
Anybody who's been in this class for any length of time, one of my favorite seasonings. We're going to add a little smoked paprika. The smoked have to go out and get it. Who shouldn't have? So regular paprika is just fine. So we're going to add that in for right now. So we get the texture that we want. And then we're going to add in one more ingredient.
Chef, as you're blending that, we might want to switch out microphones because of that one. You're talking and we can't hear you.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Can you buy the cashew cheese already made in the store, or do you have to make it?
You can buy vegan cheese, yes. It won't be
Okay.
in sauce form though. Not that I've ever seen. So you
No.
would still have to like blend it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't. There's no vegan. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
back.
Yeah, you can't. You can't buy vegan sauced cheese. There are vegan cheeses. The one thing I've heard about a lot of vegan cheeses, there's a couple of brands, Daya. They don't melt as well as like you would think as far as a cheese, but they
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you again. No. The other
While we're
mic was better.
Yeah, at least it was spotty. While we're waiting on Chef to get mic'd up again, I might talk a little bit about these quesadillas. Like after they're put together, if you had 2 of them, it would be about 450 calories. So that's a great amount for a lunch or a small dinner. In those 450 calories, though, you're getting 12.4 grams of vegan protein. So all plant-based protein. So it's really quite nice in regards to the amount of protein for that amount of calories. And not only do you get that nice amount of protein, but you get 30% of your RDI for vitamin C. You get 23% of your iron, 47% of your magnesium, and 31% of your zinc. So the way these ingredients come together are very nourishing. We're going to use zucchini to stuff our quesadillas. And I don't know, this is just a little bit interesting if you ask me, that it's actually a fruit. It's a summer squash that was developed in Italy in the 1800s. It's kind of like melon, spaghetti squash, and cucumber in regards to like the family of fruits that it comes from. Zucchini, 1 cup of zucchini is only 17 calories. So you can see how you're going to get a lot of nutrients. For example, in that 17 calories, you're going to get 40% of the RDA for vitamin A. So it's very valuable in regards to micronutrients, but not very many calories if you're, watching that sort of thing. The Poblano Salsa that Chef is going to get to, it has cilantro and pumpkin seeds, which, like I said before, that's a great source of zinc. And we really like that right now. I'm focusing on immune support with a lot of these recipes. Even when we get to the broiled mango, we'll talk about all of those nutrients that are supporting like an immunity boost. And so, Chef, are you back?
I'm back. You guys hear me?
Okay. Okay, great. We were just I was just talking about some of the nutrients that are involved in this set of ingredients. So I
No
see that
problem.
you are done with your vegan cheese.
I am done with my vegan cheese, and like I really wish you guys could smell this, because if I didn't know any better, I would think it, because it smells like cheese sauce. And what I did, you guys didn't see, but it has a nice color like cheese sauce. It smells like cheese sauce. It's going to taste like cheese sauce. No, what I added in at the after I let it puree and get to the consistency that I wanted it to, nice and smooth and creamy, I added in some nutritional yeast that you usually can add, and it kind of gives it that cheese type of flavor. Lori, a lot of people, especially people who are transitioning into vegan diets, you'll see this in a lot of recipes. Is there any more information you could give us about nutritional yeast?
It's just it's so useful if you're trying to get close to, like you said, transitioning into being okay with no animal products. It's very cheesy. It's nutritional yeast. It's all plant-based, but it has that kind of depth of flavor to remind you of cheese. That's the way I see it. I have a lot of people that add it to like salad. They sprinkle it over their greens for that real kind of salty complexity that you look for, and if you're not having any animal products.
Right. We finished that. That took no time. The most amount of time that it took for that was the soaking the cashews. But other than that, that doesn't take but a minute or so. So, like I said, you can do that ahead of time. You can do that ahead of time, and make sure that's already prepared. Now, the second part of this is our filling, because you can't have a good quesadilla without filling. And Lori's I've already heard her go over a lot of the value of the squash and the zucchini and things of that nature in there, but also be known, once again, like we said prior, was that you can add whatever type of vegetables in here. If you wanted to add some kale in here, it's just really about the nature of what can you add that's going to give really great nutritional value to this, and that I think it'd be a good way if you had some vegetables that you needed to kind of use up, so that, cut down any waste that you may have. So whatever you may have available. Today I'm using, of course, some peppers and onions and zucchini and squash, and I even have some cremini mushrooms for those who may feel like they miss the meat. So it's going to give you a little bit of meatiness to this too. And I'm just slicing everything thin, so that it's going in a quesadilla, so you don't want too large of chunks. So I'm just making sure everything's nice and thinly sliced to go inside the quesadilla. And we've talked about this before, but especially in times like these with COVID and winter like that, I'm not sure if a lot of people remember or know that the value of mushrooms are, not only do they lend a nice meatiness to this and kind of a heartiness, but a source of vitamin D.
Yep, vitamin D and zinc, which is a great combination for immunity.
So those are those people who are needing to up their vitamin D. It's not always about milk, but it can be found in other things such as these mushrooms.
Yes.
So we're gonna add everything in the pool.
So is that just zucchini and yellow squash and a red pepper?
Red and green peppers.
Red and green, okay.
Red and green peppers, zucchini, squash, and our mushrooms.
I would add a lot of onion to that, but that's me.
Oh, there's onions in here too.
Oh, okay.
You said a lot of onions.
Yeah, we love onions, so I go kind of heavy on the onion.
Heavy on the onions, heavy on the onions. But
Right.
yeah, and I like this because it's nice and colorful and bright. People don't understand, and I actually just was talking to someone about this, that food is not just a taste experience. It is technically a full sensory experience. So what you smell, what you taste, and what you see. So like these wonderful, like bright colors, especially during this time of year. Normally in the winter, it's hard to find nice things like this, but this translates to your brain also. It's nothing like freshness and fresh produce like this that are colorful, because that's also going to kind of translate to the body. It helps with salivation.
Yep. Which is actually the first indicator to start producing digestive enzymes.
There you go.
So if you want to have access to all of these beautiful nutrients, you do have to give your body time to understand that it is mealtime. And, and I think that's where the age-old practice of offering up some gratitude before you eat came from. It was like purposeful. It did help aid digestion.
So while those are kind of sauteing, we'll go ahead and start our Poblano Salsa. And so
That beautiful mango ready to be used.
Hey, Laura, if you boil just to get the broth of the mushroom, and you drink the broth, is it the same nutrients, vitamin D and?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like whenever you're using the mushroom, you want to consume the liquid that it was cooked in for sure because of that reason. So it is
Right.
still there.
Thank you.
Sure.
So for our poblano salsa, the first step, of course, is we want to kind of know. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can, as I'm doing here, if you have a gas stove at home and you feel comfortable, I'm just putting it right directly on my flame. And so that's going to char it. And that charring, it's not burnt, but that charring is going to actually, one, add a depth of flavor, and it's going to help to kind of cook this really quick. If you don't have or feel comfortable, or if you don't have an open flame at home, or you don't feel safe doing it like this, then of course you can just take a little bit of olive oil and take a little bit of olive oil and coat it and put it on a sheet tray and put it in your oven and roast your poblano, probably about 375 or so, 400 for about 10 minutes. You should be able to roast your poblano. And then after that's the same, it would be the same as if you did it on the open flame. Put it in a baggie or put it in a bowl with a plastic wrap over it or something like that. And it's what we call sweating it out. That makes it easier for you to remove the skin off of it. I usually keep a little bit of that skin, a little bit of that char, because like I said, it's kind of a depth of flavor that's going to add in there. So either way is best. And if you're doing it on the open flame, I'm not keeping it too much on one side. So I'm constantly turning it so that it doesn't kind of burn per se on one side exclusively. This is the quicker way of doing it, but not everyone feels comfortable doing that, or everybody has the capability of doing that. I couldn't do it at home because I have an electric stove. But in a perfect world, we all would have gas stoves. So I've got that nice and charred. I'll let that sweat here in the baggie. Lock all that heat in and let that. Meantime, while that's sweating, then we have our food processor, in which we'll add that pumpkin seeds. You at the beginning talk about the pumpkin seeds and their values. Nuts and seeds are definitely nutritious, and I think they get underestimated a lot of times. They're a great snack, but then they pack such a powerful punch. Add our seed, a little bit of salt. Now the seeds, these are unsalted, so that we can, like most things we tell you, that we can adjust and control the salt. So they're unsalted pumpkin seeds for that purpose. Then, so we have our garlic, we have our pumpkin seeds. We're going to add a little bit of water to this because as we blend it, of course, we want it to be able to break down. Now, we're going to totally blend this. So on your food processor button called pulse. So you want to use the pulse because that allows you to how much you want this. Because this is quote unquote a salsa, we don't want it to turn into a sauce by just letting it run. So you want it to pulse so that it has the ability to still have some texture that's involved in it. So we have our salt in there, and then we have some coriander. I love coriander. It's a great fragrant type of seasoning that you'll normally see in a lot of either Middle Eastern or African cuisines. And coriander actually is the cilantro. So we're going to start with that. So pulse. And we're going to add a little olive oil to this here too in a second. It smells great already, just with the garlic and the coriander. We'll add some oil. Half a cup of oil, because that's the only way this is blend down just right. Great. So put everybody in the pool. Yeah, it's too bad vision isn't available. I mean, we're in 2021, so I mean, we're getting closer to the possibilities, right?
Yeah, you never know.
All right. So in there. Great. Like I said, you want to keep some type of texture to that. So it's going to have a little bit of texture to it. To the vegetables, added some oregano and some cumin, because you want to have some nice flavor components to your case. So some oregano and cumin that will flavor this nicely. And our vegetables are nice and sauteed. And now the fun part, it's about assembling. Which is always the easier part. So we have some corn tortillas that we can make these with. Now the key is with the tortillas, corn tortillas are very sensitive. They dry out and they can be very brittle. So what you do, you can throw these in the microwave and kind of warm them up. Or if you have another skillet, a little bit of olive oil, and you can put those in a skillet and kind of brown them. But the key is also, when you're done, you want to make sure that you keep these in a damp paper towel, because if they dry out, then they become very brittle and are not pliable. So that's the one tip about corn tortillas that you want to do. So I've kind of pre-warmed these, and they're just here in a damp paper towel currently. So that we can now build our quesadillas with our Poblano Salsa. So our salsa is mixed up, our filling is done, our cashew cheese, our Poblano has blistered, and now we have it's softened and blistered. So now all I have to do is I can take this spoon and literally just kind of take off all the skin. And the reason we're removing the skin, not only because the char, but the reason we even did that method is it cooks it, but then sometimes the skin can be tough. So we want to be able to remove that also. And it just comes right off. And it smells great. So who says that vegan food or vegan dish can't be exciting and flavorful?
Right. I think a lot of times it just is a little intimidating because there's so many ingredients.
Right.
You know, if it's not your style of cooking or food prep, it looks like kind of complicated, but most of the time it's just a different approach. I mean, we're used to, and I grew up this way with a meat, starch, and a vegetable.
Right.
That was like the way the meal was put together, every meal. So this is just a different like style. I love to talk about the completeness of it. By the time you mix two plants, 99% of the time you have all of the essential amino acids for a complete protein. And so I just, I don't know. I mean, I just think that makes it like you can be a proponent of a vegan dish, like, because you know that you are perfectly nourished by the time you mix two plants.
Well, I think that's probably the thing is really more mind shift, because like you said, for generations, even just our American culture, we are so used to a complete meal looking like a meat, a starch, and a veg. And the veg most of the time takes the back seat to the meat and the starch.
Absolutely.
So I think it really is a mind shift before anything, that mentally you have to be able to be aware and be educated also. Like we're doing here, is saying that as long as you have these particular components and proponents of this, you're still going to get the same. You can get the same satiation, the same feel, and being satisfied, and still be able to enjoy great flavors and all of that kind of stuff. So I think if we permission to kind of get or step outside of kind of our norm, like I said, and just at least I think that allows us to be more open in our food journeys, in that sense. It's a trust me, it's a journey, because this thing has been built up for generations. Got to have that meat and starch and veg, and the meat all takes center plate.
Very true.
Chop that poblano up just a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of blend it in here with everything for that salsa. And like I said, we're just tossing it because it's a salsa. And then some cilantro, because no good salsa. And that's another thing. I know cilantro, some people turn, that you have this that actually codes for a lot of people that don't like cilantro. It translates as soapy taste, and that's why they don't like it. Oh yes, that's great. And it smells wonderful. And I'll definitely let you guys see this. I'm just going to put this over in a little bowl and we'll get ready for presentation. And who would ever think that this is full of flavor, doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it's totally plant-based, plant-forward. Oh yeah.
Jason, do you think like if you wanted to just have a salsa verde on hand and you didn't want to make this poblano?
Yes, I would definitely say if you didn't, want to take the time, or you don't have any pumpkin seeds, or didn't want to go to the store to get any pumpkin seeds, a good salsa verde would still do the trick, and plant-based, so you wouldn't be compromising anything either way.
Okay. Because that is one way that would really simplify this recipe.
Oh yes. So assembly time. We're going to take some of our cashew cheese or whatever cheese that you have on hand and feel comfortable with. And we're building our quesadillas. And then some of our vegetables. And these are little mini quesadillas. These aren't super quesadillas like you would see. So it'd be fun for kids too. Or for if you're having I was going to say a dinner party, but not having too many of those these days. And then we just fold that over. And then we'll put those on our little platter here. And really simple, like I said, really simple. Just a different way to express using plant-based items outside of the norm.
Have any of you guys watching made cashew cheese before, or any kind of vegan cheese at home? No?
No,
Does it sound good to you?
it does. I'd like to see how it's done, and maybe I could use them.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about the what was that tomato? Is it the tomato verde? And he made a sauce out of it, right?
The poblano, the pepper?
Uh-huh. But
Yeah.
instead of, because the pepper is kind of spicy, I cannot have too much spice because of my gastritis. So can I substitute making a green sauce with cilantro and parsley and basil or spinach?
Most definitely. Like we said at the beginning, there's always opportunity for you to make this your own, in a sense. This is just a small blueprint of what you can do. I know, Irene, for you, peppers, are you don't do well with them. So you can definitely have the opportunity to switch out, or like we said, if you did a salsa verde, salsa verde is tomatillo based, so you wouldn't have to worry about the pepper per se.
Yeah.
So you could do that instead of this poblano.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I had mentioned the salsa verde, but I didn't even really think that would lessen the spice. That would be, because tomatillos, do you tolerate those? Irene?
Yeah, because the green tomatoes are kind of tart,
Mhm.
and I like tart taste.
Good.
So that would be a great substitution for you, and you don't have to use this. But it really is just about having something that accompanies this, that's still going to give you great flavor. But like we said in the beginning, it really is about what works for you in your household, as far as your taste, your diet, and what you may have on hand. But we just want to be able to show you the ability to be able to have something different or to try something different. I think that's the biggest thing, is those who haven't had cashew vegan cheese. It's worth giving a try because, initially, to say cashew cheese could kind of be daunting, but it's not until you at least give it a try, and you never know, you may take a liking to it, and it gives you an opportunity to still have cheese if you like cheese, but in a healthier way. So that's what it's really all. We're just try to equip you with different ways to be able to enjoy your food in a more valuable, healthy, wellness way. And if you didn't notice, and I hope you were able to get that out of the, what we showed, it really didn't take much. It wasn't you don't have to be a chef to make it. It was really simple. It was, like I said, the hardest part and the longest part was just soaking the cashews. Outside of soaking the cashews, really, you just put everything in the blender and let the blender do the work. And it wasn't any outrageous ingredients that went into it. Just the cashews and then the seasonings. If anything, the biggest thing would be the nutritional yeast for you to have that type of flavor. but you can find that right in your local grocery store very easily. Any questions about that is, and I'll show you what we have. Our final plate. You know, you guys know I got to dress it up. Little chopped cilantro.
So would you take those after you've assembled them and put them in a hot pan and kind of like crisp up the tortillas?
I would say either or. Like if you crisp them up, well, yeah, that could be probably best afterwards.
That looks good. Delish.
Looks yummy.
It does.
There's our salsa. So yeah, you could most definitely kind of, if you want to, either kind of spray them with a little olive oil and throw them in the oven real quick to crisp them up or so.
Okay. Very nice. And so we're gonna to put with our vegan quesadillas and our Poblano Salsa, we're gonna do some broiled mango, which I thought sounded like a really nice way to round out the savory with a little bit of sweet. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. It has a cup. In a cup, there's only 99 calories. So I feel like mango is very hearty and very satisfying. So 99 calories, but for that 99 calories, you get 2.6 grams of fiber and 67% of the RDI for vitamin C. So again, really helpful in regards to nutrition. It's also a good source of folate, vitamin K, vitamin E, and B complex that boost immunity. So you can't go wrong with mango at this stage of the game. The other thing that I find particularly helpful and interesting about mango is that it has a digestive enzyme capability that helps in kind of like all areas of digestion, because you combine those enzymes with the fiber of the fruit and the natural hydration that it provides. And so the electrolytes and the minerals come together to really aid digestion. And so you can count on it not being problematic that way. Does anybody go to for mango? Do they like it? Anybody use it in a way and maybe frozen in a smoothie or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. I use it for smoothie, and sometimes I dice it and I mix it with the vanilla ice cream to make a mango ice cream.
Okay.
And are we talking about Atolfo or the regular round mango?
Regular.
Yeah, the round one.
The round one. Okay. Yeah. I'm used to the Atolfo because in the Philippines, that's our kind of mango. I was introduced here with the round one, and it's so different. We call that Indian mango, but of course here it's different. But
I've
yeah,
seen those and I've wondered, and I knew that they were prevalent in the Philippines. And I've tried them. And so Irene, what do you think the biggest difference, since we're used to the regular mango, and so the other one is different for us, but the what we consider regular mango is new to you. So what would you say was the greatest difference for you between the two?
the sweetness.
Yeah.
The tofu is very sweet. There's some that you can get and they're not sweet, but our mango in the Philippines is, you have to wait till it ripens in the tree, and then you harvest it, and it's sweet like a sugar.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. When I tried one, I was like, whoa, there's the difference. They are sweeter than what we're used to. And even Darlene had mentioned before we started class, Darlene, your experience with mango that you had in Jamaica was different than even it was this type of mango, but the freshness of it was way different than what you could get here at your local grocery store.
Absolutely, yeah. The taste just doesn't compare, which is very disappointing sometimes.
So it's very interesting just to see the different perspectives when it comes to mango and taste, depending on where you get it from. So whether it's from the Philippines, whether it's from Jamaica, or whether it's from here in the United States, depending on the freshness, on the sweetness, on the ripeness, all of those type of things. But doing it in this method by broiling it, anytime you apply fruit to a fresh produce or a fresh fruit or even you're going to release a lot of the natural sugars. So broiling this is going to release some of the natural sugars from it. Then if you have a decently ripe one, I would say I wouldn't have an overripe one because you're going to broil it, so you don't want it to turn mushy. But like I said, it's going to already release some really great sweetness to it. That could be a good complement for even these quesadillas, or a great snack, or as Irene was talking, to even end up blending it up and making like a sorbet or an ice cream or so like that, a nice healthier version of an ice cream.
Oh yeah, and that kind of mango, what I do is I mix it with the green salad, that one that you're holding right now.
Oh, okay. So if you haven't already, broken down a mango, it's what we call is the cheeks, and so that's because inside the mango is the pit, which is usually right in the center. So if I'm looking at the stem here, I usually go just right on the left of that and on the right of that, and cut straight down so that I'm able to cut off the meat, or the cheeks is what they're called. And it's about gauging it at, how close you are to that seed in there. I try not to go too close to that stem, because usually that's right the width of the seed that's inside. So here we have now 2 sides that have been cut off, and then here's my cheeks, or the meat. And then I usually take, and for I'm not using my large knife. I'm using a paring knife, because it's easier to handle and cut this. So make sure you have a sharp tip on there. And then from there, I usually just cut. Now we're going to cut slices. So you just cut straight down. And I'm making just some nice lines or slices within the mango cavity. And I'm able to kind of flip those up like so. I'll do the other one like that. And you're able to, because it's pliable, it's almost like an accordion. Okay. And then I'm going to take my knife and I can cut these out. So because I can bend this, I can take my knife flat, and I can literally cut right up under that skin. Now, if you want to make this easier and you don't trust yourself, you could try to peel this mango first and then cut the cheeks off and cut your slices. But this seems like an easy way to me. And I have my slices. I have a 4-lined tray here that we put those on. Like I said, this could be the simplest thing. Great snack for kids or grandkids, or for yourself. Or you can make this into a nice sorbet after you've broiled it. Voila. Let's have those on there. And that's really it. So I have my oven already preset on broil. Most people don't. Now, the key about broil on the oven, especially if you have a gas stove, you're going to have to watch it. We could give you a time frame. You could say, oh, put in there for this many minutes, but you really want, anytime you have a broil setting, you have to watch it, because it could go from 0 to 100 in no time. 1 minute you could look, and next minute it's black. So you want to make sure that you are, for instance, the oven we have here is a convection. So even me putting it on broil and convection side, I have to make sure that I watch it so that it doesn't go too far. You only really want to get, and that's why it's on broil. We only want to get a little bit of brownness on it. We only want to kind of, get a little bit of that charring on there, a little bit of a couple of brown spots. That's, like I said, going to bring out some of the natural sweetness. Everyone's in. And like I said, that takes no time at all. And so the things that are endless to do, like Lori, I would say even afterwards, like even if you had some nice yogurt, to take those mango slices and dip in.
Oh boy. I'm sorry, I lost you, Chef. I don't know what you're saying.
Is he talking?
I think so. Something went wrong again.
Today in our drum circle, this happened a lot. So somebody thought that maybe everybody's using the Zoom because of the incident yesterday in the Capitol. So it's overloaded.
I think that's a possibility. And I'm sure it's overloaded. I think the whole country feels overloaded. I'm not sure what.
Testing, can you hear me now?
He's back.
I'm back.
Okay, so the last I heard you said once this mango is broiled, you could dip it in, and then I lost.
Like it could be for a breakfast, like a Greek yogurt or a plant-based yogurt.
Absolutely.
I thought of something else, and now it escaped me as another way that you can use this. Yeah.
You can add it to oatmeal, I think. Like,
yes.
Once it's cooked, I think that would be nice, because like you said, you've developed the sugars by broiling it. So it'd be really sweet and nice to add to some oats in the morning. But I did intend for it to be kind of like a dessert with the quesadillas.
Yeah.
So either way.
So a great dessert. Now I will have to preface, and I will have to apologize, guys, because the final addition to this mango, once it comes out, is that you take some lime wedges and squeeze some of that juice over there, so that citrus and that acidity will really help balance some of the sweetness. But somehow or another, I forgot the lime at home. So I don't have the lime, but really simple recipe, needless to say, is for the most part, the work is in just getting your mango slices and putting them just long enough to kind of warm it, bring some of those natural sugars out, and then you take that citrus to balance it all out. And that citrus also, anytime you add citrus to anything, you'll see sometime in salsas, they'll do a squeeze of lemon or lime or something like that. Anytime you add citrus, what that citrus is going to do, the acidity helps one to break or cut any type of salt or sugar, and it helps to make it more vibrant. So that citrus is going to do two things. It's going to balance out the sweetness, but it's also going to just really enhance the overall flavor of it. Yeah, we'll give it one more minute. Anyone have any questions about either one of these recipes today, or any thing about your wellness journey? Any exciting recipes that anybody tried over the holidays?
I made pork tamales.
Pork tamales?
Yes. I use banana leaves instead of corn husk.
Ah,
That sounds good.
that does sound good.
You can also use chicken if you want to, but I just bake the pork shoulder on 250 the whole day.
Mhm.
And by the time before I went to bed, I check it out and it's so tender and soft.
Nice.
So I just, I didn't even have to do anything because it's just falling apart.
That sounds good. Now you're gonna make me want to go make some. I'm hungry now, Irene. Thanks.
And I went to Michoacana to get my tamales dough because they have it all fixed. They have it, they have salt in it. They have other ingredients in it.
And I've heard actually theirs is really good.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
then I made I don't know if you heard it, the mole negro.
Mole Negro.
Mole negro. Well, they sometimes there's a mole rojo,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mole sauce.
yeah. And I use that to when I put the meat before it gets wrapped, I put it on top of the the tamal, which is where there's pork inside, and then when you serve it, you again put the sauce over. So it's really very, very tasty.
Exciting to hear. Any other great dishes that anyone tried or made over the holidays?
I seared some scallops, which I was really impressed with. They were so good. Just garlic and a little white wine and butter, but they turned out really, really well.
And a lot of people are scared of scallops, and it really is kind of just having a good pan. And then two, you have to, in a sense, pay attention to the scallop. The scallop will let you know. Rush things too often. So a lot of times people go wrong because they want to flip the scallop before it's time, but it'll let you know because it'll easily release when it has seared and those proteins have activated in order to flip them over, and you got the nice crust on there. So they're not as difficult as most people are intimidated by them by.
They were easy and fast.
Yes.
Like a little, flavorful, very flavorful, and I really enjoyed it.
They don't take long. So either people end up tearing them up because they want to try to flip them and release them from the pan, and then you've messed up the whole texture of them, or they overcook them, and so then they're rubbery.
Yeah.
It really is like one. Like it doesn't take long. Get a good sear and a good crust on them, and then you make a good sauce with some white wine and butter and garlic.
It was quite.
How many minutes before you flip it?
So
like 3, maybe. Well, that's what it was. Mine were pretty big though.
Yeah, well, if you have large ones, so 2 to 3 minutes for large ones. But like I said, they're going to let you know when it's best for them to release, because you'll go to try it and they'll just come right up and you can flip them over. And like I said, because you'll know you have that nice crust and nice sear on them, and then 2 minutes on the other side.
Nope.
Do you put a lid on?
No, because then you'll end up steaming them.
Right.
Which I was afraid of. I didn't want steamed. I wanted seared, and so you have to get real gutsy with your flame. You have to be real self-assured.
And the only science that really is involved is making sure that your heat is not too low and it's not too high. So around about a medium, because if it's too high, then it's going to sear them too quickly. And
It'll be
they're
raw
gonna
in the
get- yeah, they're going to get raw. They'll be raw inside and charred on the outside. If your heat's not high enough, then you're going to probably end up overcooking them because they're going to end up cooking too long. It's going to take too long for them to cook.
Mhm. I got lucky. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
I think you can also do the shrimp with that garlic shrimp, they call it.
Yes, same.
Hmm.
So we have a little bit of brown on these, and put these in the bowl here. A little bit of brown. They've softened up just enough. Like I said, that took no time at all.
And if it was nice out, you could throw those on your grill.
On the grill, yes. Just
Or
like
if you want to stand in the garage like I do, you could use the grill.
just like a pineapple. You know how people grill pineapples and stuff on?
Yes.
It's the same concept. We're just using mangoes.
Sounds yummy.
Mhm. I think in the recipe, does it suggest drizzling with honey?
No, but that would be great because a little honey would definitely go a long way.
And speaking of the recipes, they are available on our website. We made sure that they were live. So, oh, those look gorgeous.
Yeah, very nice.
So if you go under our daily calendar, where you went to register for the class today, in that drop-down box are the links to today's recipes.
Well, thank you, everyone. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all of the recipes we
That
have.
is
I
all-
would certainly-
It's not Taco Tuesday. No, what's today? Thursday. It's not Taco Tuesday, everyone. But these are definitely great recipes that you can kind of integrate into your Taco
Mhm.
Tuesdays in 2021.
Right on.